The Galactic Confederation survey vessel Celestial Seeker drifted silently above planet KX 429. Captain Minjay stood on the bridge. All four of his eyes focused on the holographic display, showing the planet's surface. His gray skin wrinkled around his mouth as he frowned. "Just another waste of time," he muttered to his second-in-command. "Send the survey team down and let's be done with it." Chief Archaeologist Teo prepared his equipment in the shuttle bay. This was his 15th potential colony site this cycle, and he expected nothing different from the previous 14. Ruins, artifacts, and evidence of a failed attempt at settlement. His species had seen hundreds of such places across the galaxy. "Ready for another boring day digging through rubble?" asked Sunwoo, Tahoe's assistant, as she loaded sample containers into her pack. "Protocol is protocol," Tahoe replied, checking his scanner one last time. "Even dead-end missions need proper documentation." The shuttle descended through wispy clouds to land on a flat plain near what appeared to be the main settlement. The structures were partially collapsed, with vegetation reclaiming much of the area. At first glance, it looked like countless other abandoned outposts they had cataloged. "Standard search pattern," Tahoe instructed the team of 6. "Sunwoo with me to the central building. Jaehyun and Minji, take the eastern structures. Hanwoo and Jinsel, head west." The central building was larger than the others, with thick walls that had better withstood the centuries. As Tahoe and Sunwoo moved through the entrance, their scanners began to pick up unexpected readings. "I'm detecting power signatures," Sunwoo said, adjusting her device. "Faint, but definitely active." Tahoe's antenna twitched with sudden interest. "That's impossible. This place has been abandoned for centuries." They followed the readings to what appeared to be a solid wall at the back of the structure. Tahoe ran his 6-fingered hand along the surface, feeling for seams or controls. "There's something behind here," he said. "Help me find a way through." After 30 minutes of searching, Sunwoo discovered a small panel hidden beneath debris. When she cleared it, symbols became visible, human symbols. "It's a security system," Tahoe realized. Still operational after all this time. Having studied ancient human technology, Tahoe recognized the pattern lock. After several attempts, the wall slid open with a hiss of compressed air, revealing a dark passage beyond. "Captain Minjay," Tahoe called over his communicator. "We found something unusual. Request permission to investigate further." "Proceed with caution," came the captain's voice. "Keep your emergency beacon active." Tahoe and Sunwoo activated their light sources and entered the passage. The air was stale but breathable. The corridor sloped downward, leading them deep beneath the surface. Eventually, they reached a massive metal door with more human symbols warning of restricted access. This door was more challenging, but Tahoe managed to bypass its security. As it slowly swung open, cold air rushed out, carrying the scent of machinery and preserved organic material. "By the stars," Sunwoo whispered as their lights revealed the chamber beyond. Row upon row of stasis pods filled the enormous underground facility, each containing a human in suspended animation. There were thousands of them, their life signs barely detectable, but undeniably present. Near the entrance was a control center with screens still displaying information. "They're alive," Tahoe said in disbelief. "All of them, alive after all this time." Sunwoo moved to the control station and carefully activated the main interface. The ancient system responded slowly, but information began to appear on the screens. "Look at this," she called to Tahoe. "These are date stamps from the colony's records." Tahoe examined the information and felt his heart skip a beat. According to the logs, these humans had entered stasis over 700 years ago, centuries before humanity's official first contact with the Confederation. "This changes everything we know about human history," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The official records state that humans achieved interstellar travel only 200 years ago. Could our records be wrong?" Sunwoo asked. Tahoe shook his head. The Confederation's historical archives are meticulously maintained. This suggests something else, a hidden chapter of human history that was somehow erased or forgotten. He activated his communicator with trembling fingers. Captain Minjay, you need to contact Confederation High Command immediately. We've discovered humans in stasis, thousands of them, and evidence that humanity reached the stars far earlier than our records indicate. Are you certain? The captain asked, his voice sharp with disbelief. Absolutely certain, Taiho replied, looking at the peaceful faces of the sleeping humans. And I believe we are about to rewrite galactic history. The medical team from the Celestial Seeker worked carefully to revive the first human from stasis. They chose Pod A001, which contained a woman identified in the system as Dr. Juu, the colony's chief medical officer. According to protocol, medical leadership would be best equipped to handle the shock of awakening and help with reviving others. The stasis pod hissed as its systems slowly brought Dr. Juu's body temperature and metabolism back to normal levels. Taiho stood nearby, flanked by the ship's medical officer Yunji and Captain Minjay himself, who had come down to witness this historic moment. Life signs stabilizing, Yunji reported, watching the biomonitors. Brain activity increasing to normal patterns. Dr. Juu's eyes fluttered open. She blinked several times, her gaze unfocused at first, then sharpening as she took in the strange faces around her. Instead of panic, her expression showed only mild surprise as she looked at the three aliens standing by her pod. "You're not the rescue team we expected," she said in a voice hoarse from centuries of disuse. She accepted the thermal blanket Taiho offered her and wrapped it around her shoulders. Captain Minjay stepped forward. "I am Captain Minjay of the Galactic Confederation vessel Celestial Seeker. We discovered your colony during a routine survey mission." Dr. Juu sat up slowly, her movements careful as her muscles reacquainted themselves with movement. "Galactic Confederation. I'm not familiar with that organization. How long have we been asleep?" Taiho and Yunji exchanged glances. It was Taiho who finally spoke. "According to your colony's records, you've been in stasis for approximately 700 Earth years." Dr. Juu closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them again, they shone with unshed tears, but her voice remained steady. 7 centuries. Then Earth never received our distress signal. Earth is now part of the Confederation, Captain Minjay explained. Humans have colonies on 17 worlds, but according to official records, humanity only achieved interstellar travel 2 centuries ago. Dr. Juu managed a small, sad smile. "Well, that's not exactly correct, is it?" She looked around the facility. "Are my people all right?" "The stasis systems. All pods show green status," Yunji assured her. "We've only revived you so far. We thought it best to proceed carefully." Over the next few hours, as Dr. Juu regained her strength, she told them the colony's story. Prometheus Station had been established in the 24th century as part of a classified Earth government program called Storage. "We were the 3rd colony," she explained as they sat in what had once been the colony's mess hall. There were 12 planned in total, spread across different star systems within 50 light-years of Earth. We were the scientific outpost, focused on xenobiology and planetary adaptation studies. Taiho leaned forward, his antenna twitching with excitement. "But human historical records indicate your species only achieved faster-than-light travel in the 25th century, over 500 years after your colony was established." Dr. Juu sipped the warm broth Yunji had prepared for her. Project Storage was classified at the highest levels. Only a few thousand people on Earth knew of its existence. We used early jump drive technology developed by Dr. Sungbo Kim, technology that was experimental but functional. "What happened to your colony?" Captain Minjay asked. "A catastrophic engine failure in our main power core," Dr. Juu replied. "We couldn't repair it with the resources we had. We sent a distress signal to Earth, but our communications array was damaged in the same incident. We had no way of knowing if the message got through." She set down her cup. "When our supplies began running low and no rescue came, We made the decision to enter stasis, leaving automated systems to monitor for rescue vessels and wake us when help arrived. But help never came, Tahoe said softly. And now we're 700 years in the future. Dr. Juwu looked around at the aliens with clear, intelligent eyes. If what you're saying is true, that humanity officially discovered FTL travel centuries after we left Earth, then something happened. Something that made Earth either forget about us or choose to erase us from history. Captain Minji's communicator beeped. He excused himself to answer it, stepping a few paces away. When he returned, his expression was grave. The Confederation High Council has been informed of our discovery, he said. They're sending a diplomatic vessel with historians and scientists. This discovery is being treated as a matter of the highest importance. Dr. Juwu nodded. And my people? When can we wake them? We'll begin reviving the critical personnel you identify, Yunji said. Our medical team can handle 20 revivals per day safely. Good, Dr. Juwu said, standing with new determination. Because I think we have a mystery to solve. Why would Earth abandon its first colonies and then erase all record of them? She looked at each of the aliens in turn. And more importantly, what else from our past has been hidden? News of the discovery spread quickly through the Confederation. Within days, ships from various member species arrived in orbit around KX 429. The modest research outpost became a bustling center of activity as more colonists were revived and more experts arrived to study the implications of this historical anomaly. Special envoy Dong He arrived on the 6th day aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmonious Accord. The tall, slender representative of the Galactic Council stepped off his shuttle with an entourage of advisors and security personnel. His pale blue skin contrasted sharply with the formal black robes of his office. Captain Minje and Dr. Juwu greeted him at the landing pad. By now, 50 colonists had been revived, including the colony's leadership team. This is an unexpected honor, Captain Minji said, bowing deeply to the envoy. Dong He's large eyes studied Dr. Juwu with unmistakable curiosity. The honor is mine, Captain. Few diplomats have the chance to speak with living history. He turned to Dr. Juwu. I am most eager to hear your story firsthand, Doctor. An hour later, they gathered in the newly established command center. Dong He sat at the head of the table, surrounded by his advisors, Confederation scientists, and the awakened human colonists. Let me be direct, Dong He began after the introductions were complete. This discovery presents complications. The Confederation's relationship with humanity was established on a specific understanding of your species' technological timeline and capabilities. Jiho, the colony's administrator, leaned forward. You mean you thought humans were less advanced than we actually were? Precisely, Dong He confirmed. It raises questions about whether this information was deliberately withheld during humanity's application to join the Confederation, or whether humanity itself lost this knowledge. Dr. Juwu suggested. We sent distress signals. We were supposed to be rescued. Something must have happened on Earth after we lost contact. In the days that followed, more colonists were awakened. Many struggled to accept their new reality. Taiho observed them gathering in small groups, sharing their grief over lost families and the world they once knew. Everyone I ever loved has been dead for centuries, said Engineer Junot as he stared out a viewport at the stars. My parents, my sister, my fiancé, all dust now. Dr. Juwu organized support circles, encouraging the colonists to share their feelings and help each other adjust. We still have each other, she reminded them. We're still a community. Meanwhile, a team of synorchaeologists led by Tahoe and human specialists from Earth worked to restore the colony's data cores. The ancient storage devices contain terabytes of information about the early human space program. We've recovered the colony directory, announced Tahoe on the 10th day. It contains coordinates and information about all 12 planned colonies from the storage program. The briefing room fell silent as the star map appeared on the main screen. 12 points of light indicated the locations of humanity's first interstellar settlements, scattered across a 50-light-year radius from Earth. According to these records, Tahoe continued, all colonies were established between Earth years 2347 and 2368. Prometheus Station, this colony, was the third, founded in 2352. A human historian from Earth, Professor Yunno, shook his head in disbelief. This contradicts everything in our historical record. Our first interstellar colony, New Eden, was supposedly established in 2872, over 500 years later. Dr. Juwu studied the map intently. What about the other colonies? Have you found any of them? We've dispatched survey vessels to the coordinates, Captain Minja reported. Initial reports from 2 locations show ruins similar to what we found here. No signs of active stasis fields or survivors yet. That evening, Dr. Juwu and several colonists met with Professor Yunno to learn about the Earth they had left behind. The professor showed them images of modern Earth, its gleaming cities and environmental restoration projects. Earth is now the administrative center of the Human Interstellar Alliance, he explained. We have 17 colony worlds and membership in the Confederation for the past 70 years. Jiho looked troubled. And no mention of Starreach or the original 12 colonies in your history books. None, Professor Yunno confirmed. The earliest references to space exploration match what is found in your historical archives, the Mars and lunar bases, the early solar system mining operations. But then there's a gap. No mention of Dr. Kim's jump drive or Project Starreach. According to our history, FTL travel wasn't developed until the 29th century. Later that night, Dr. Juwu met with Tahoe and Dong-A in the data center. The screens around them displayed fragments of recovered files and logs from the colony's backup systems. We found something interesting, Tahoe said. The colony logs mention regular communications with Earth until year 7 of the colony's operation. Then the messages suddenly stop. What was in the last transmission? Dong-A asked. Tahoe brought up the file. The message was brief and alarming. Pirotokogol omigie annitie. Destroy all XTRNAL communications. Maintain silence. Await HFY instructions. Dr. Juwu read the message twice. It came from Earth Command, the highest authority in the program. She looked up at the others, her expression grave. Someone erased our history, she concluded. The question is why. The research team worked day and night, piecing together the hidden history of humanity's first steps among the stars. Professor Yunho led the Earth historians, while Dr. Juwu and her fellow colonists provided context for the data they recovered from Prometheus Station's archives. We found something, Professor Yunho announced one morning, his face pale as he entered the command center. Historical records from Earth mention an event called the Great Collapse that occurred approximately 600 years ago. He displayed the information on the main screen. According to official Earth history, humanity had experienced a severe technological regression around that time. Schools taught that environmental disasters and resource wars had destroyed much of human civilization, forcing survivors to rebuild from a much simpler technological base. Our history books claim it took centuries to recover what was lost, Professor Yunho explained. The environmental explanation made sense because there is geological evidence of climate disasters from that period. Special Envoy Dong-A studied the information with his large eyes. But you no longer believe this explanation is accurate. It doesn't align with what we're finding in the colony records, Tahoe said, bringing up files from the restored data cores. The Prometheus logs tell a different story. Dr. Juwu stood and addressed the room. According to our records, Earth didn't lose its technology. It chose to abandon it. She gestured to Tahoe to display the next file. On screen appeared the mission logs from Colony 6, called Horizon Point. The colony had been established to study unusual energy readings from a nearby star system. What they found there changed everything. Horizon Point discovered the remains of an ancient alien outpost, Dr. Juwu explained. Within it was technology far beyond human understanding of the time, or even now, I suspect. Engineer Shuno, who had been working with Tahoe on the data recovery, continued the explanation. The logs show that Earth scientists reverse-engineered some of this technology. It accelerated human development dramatically. New forms of energy, advanced AI, improved space travel. Humanity made more progress in 5 years than in the previous century. But something went wrong, Dr. Juwu said quietly. Horizon Point went silent 17 months after their discovery. When Earth sent a ship to investigate, they found the colony completely destroyed. Not just damaged, molecularly disassembled. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The last transmissions from Horizon Point mentioned being washed, Junho said, bringing up the final messages. They reported strange energy signatures in orbit, objects that appeared and disappeared from their sensors. They felt they were being evaluated. Dr. Juwu nodded. After Horizon Point's destruction, Earth received a single transmission from an unknown source. It wasn't in any human language, but our best linguists translated it as a warning. It referred to entities called the Watchers. Tahoe displayed the translated message. DVEOP MEMENTAL violation. DTTCTED. TENAL TIL ENACTE. Furthered violations. WOAL URIS ULT and SPECIES termination. Professor Yunho looked shaken. Are you saying Earth faced extinction? That's exactly what I'm saying, Dr. Juwu confirmed. Earth Command determined that these Watchers enforced rules about how quickly and in what ways species could develop their technology. By using the ancient artifacts, humanity had broken those rules. Deng, his normally impassive face, showed signs of distress. This is troubling. There are legends among the elder species of the Confederation about guardians who shaped galactic development in the distant past. Earth made a choice, Dr. Juwu continued. Rather than risk extinction, they implemented Protocol Omega. They destroyed all evidence of their advanced technology, recalled what ships they could, and deliberately regressed their technological development to a pre-FTL state. Shuno brought up more files. They didn't just hide the technology. They created a massive deception. Historical records were altered. Everyone involved in the space program was either brought back to Earth or, in our case, abandoned. They erased us to save themselves, Gio said bitterly. They erased themselves too, Dr. Juwu corrected gently. Think about it. Generations of scientists, administrators, astronauts, all agreeing to hide their greatest achievements, to live simpler lives, to teach their children a false history, all to ensure humanity's survival. The implications stunned everyone in the room. Humans and aliens alike tried to process the revelation that technological development in the galaxy might be monitored and controlled by unseen watchers. There's more, Tahoe said, his voice barely above a whisper. The Protocol Omega files include sensor readings of the Watcher vessels. I cross-referenced them with Confederation records. He looked directly at Dunga. They matched the energy signatures of the Guardian beacons that mark restricted zones in Confederation space. Dung, his head frills flattened against his skull, a sign of extreme distress in his species. The beacons were gifts from the founding species when the Confederation was formed. They warned us never to tamper with them or enter the restricted zones. It seems, Dr. Juwu said quietly, that Earth discovered the hard way what happens when those warnings are ignored. As night fell over the colony, the team continued their work with renewed urgency. What had begun as a historical mystery now carried implications for all sentient life in the galaxy. The question that haunted them all was whether their discovery would attract the attention of the Watchers once again. 3 months after the discovery of Prometheus Station, the Grand Assembly Hall of the Confederation headquarters on Nexus Prime was filled to capacity. Representatives from all 217 member species gathered for what many called the most significant diplomatic event in recent galactic history. Dr. Juwu sat in the front row alongside her fellow colonists. They wore new clothes made in the current Earth fashion, but with subtle touches from their own era, a silent testament to their unique place in history. Behind them sat the human delegation from Earth, led by Ambassador Hook. The massive chamber quieted as Special Envoy Dong-He approached the central podium. His formal robes gleamed under the soft lights as he addressed the assembly. Esteemed representatives of the Confederation, we gather today to share the conclusions of our investigation into what we now call the Prometheus Revelation. The hall screens displayed images of the colony, the stasis chambers, and the data that had changed everything. Our findings have been verified by experts from 17 species. The truth is now clear. 6 centuries ago, humanity achieved faster-than-light travel and established colonies across nearby star systems. When they encountered technology from an ancient civilization, they advanced rapidly, too rapidly. Dong-He paused, his eyes scanning the room. This advancement attracted the attention of the entities we have long known as the Guardians of Restricted Space, the same entities that provided the founding species with the boundary beacons that mark forbidden territories. A murmur spread through the hall. Even the oldest Confederation members had never heard this connection stated so plainly. What happened next sets humanity apart from any other known species, Dong-He continued. When faced with the Watcher's punishment, humanity made an unprecedented choice. Rather than continue their development and risk extinction, or simply comply with the unseen rules, they chose to hide. They erased their own achievements and began again. Dr. Juwu felt a swell of complex emotions, pride in her species' ingenuity and sorrow for the lost centuries of progress. The significance of this discovery cannot be overstated, Dong-He said. For generations, the Confederation has accepted certain limitations on technological development as natural laws. We have avoided entire fields of research because the founding species warned of dangers. Now we understand those warnings came from direct experience with the Watchers. Ambassador Kuk rose and joined Dong-He at the podium. The human delegation wishes to offer a formal apology for the incomplete information provided during Earth's application to the Confederation. However, it must be noted that modern humans were genuinely unaware of this hidden history. Dong-He raised his hand in a gesture of acceptance. No apology is needed. Your ancestors made their choice to protect your species, and in doing so, they demonstrated remarkable wisdom. Over the following weeks, the implications of the discovery transformed the relationship between humans and the wider galactic community. The Prometheus colonists, once seen as historical curiosities, became highly sought-after advisors. Their unique approaches to technology, developed before the Great Collapse, offered new perspectives that Confederation scientists had never considered. Engineer Juno found himself leading a team of the Confederation's brightest minds, exploring new energy systems based on principles from the original jump drive. Jiho worked with diplomatic teams, helping to craft new policies on technological development that might allow progress without attracting the Watcher's attention. "It's strange," Dr. Juwu said to Tahoe as they walked through the gardens of the Confederation Academy, where many colonists now taught. "We were trapped in time for 7 centuries, yet now we're helping to shape the future." Tahoe's antenna twitched thoughtfully. "Your perspective is unique. You come from before the fear set in, before the rules became unquestioned." 6 months after their awakening, the colonists gathered on the observation deck of the Confederation flagship New Horizon. The ship was preparing to depart on a special mission, a careful survey of the boundaries marked by the Guardian beacons. "This mission would have been unthinkable before your discovery," Captain Minji told them. "No one would have dared to study the beacons so closely." Dr. Juwu stood by the viewport, watching as final preparations were made. Special Envoy Dong-He joined her, his reflection appearing beside hers in the transparent aluminum. "Your ancestors chose an unprecedented path," Dong-He said quietly. "While other species either advanced according to the Watcher's terms or faced extinction, humanity alone chose to hide its potential and begin again. And now, Dr. Ju asked. Now we learn from their example, Dongi replied. Not to hide, but to be more thoughtful about how we progress. The founding species feared the Watchers and passed that fear to us. Your people faced the Watchers and found a third path. The ship's engines hummed to life, a gentle vibration running through the deck. Dr. Ju looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth as it had been in her time, full of hope and ambition as it reached for the cosmos. She thought of her colleagues in stasis, still being awakened in groups, each bringing more lost knowledge back to the present. We lost centuries, she murmured, watching the stars begin to shift as the ship prepared to jump. But perhaps we've gained a future without constraints. As the new horizon leaped into faster-than-light travel, Dr. Ju couldn't help but feel that humanity's great sleep had served its purpose. Their forced hibernation had preserved something precious, not just knowledge, but a way of thinking unburdened by fear. And now, that freedom would spread throughout the stars.